If there is one truth Americans tend to speak plainly without softening or avoiding, it is this. People rarely lose years of their life because of a sudden, severe illness. More often, they lose them through small but wrong choices repeated day after day. And among those choices, the misuse of medication without a doctor's guidance stands out as one of the most silent yet dangerous threats to older adults. Many people believe a simple idea. Medicine is meant to heal, so taking it can't possibly cause harm. A painkiller for aching joints, a sleeping pill for restless nights, a medication that everyone uses, recommended by a friend or relative. At first, everything seems harmless. The pain eases, sleep comes faster, the mind feels calmer. But it is precisely at that moment when things seem under control that many fail to notice a critical shift. The medication has begun to step out of its supportive role and slowly take control of the body itself. Americans view aging with a very realistic mindset. They understand that after 60, the body no longer processes drugs the way it did in youth. The liver works more slowly, the kidneys are less resilient. The brain becomes more sensitive, yet the habit of taking medication often remains unchanged. The same dosage, the same routine, the same belief. I've taken this for years, it's fine. And it is that familiarity more than anything else that becomes the greatest danger. No one collapses after a single pill. No one loses their health because of one old prescription. But thousands of pills taken the wrong way over many years can shorten a life faster than disease itself. In the United States, geriatric specialists have issued repeated warnings. Many serious complications in older adults do not come from new illnesses, but from old medications used incorrectly. Dizziness, confusion, falls, kidney failure, irregular heart rhythms, and every time the body stumbles like this, life expectancy is quietly worn down, often without the person ever realizing it. This video was not created to make you fear medication. Americans are not extreme enough to deny the value of modern medicine. But they do insist on one crucial point. Medication only saves lives when it is used correctly, in the right amount, and under proper supervision. When medication is abused or taken without control, it no longer extends life, it begins to shorten it, quietly and relentlessly. If you want to understand more clearly why medication misuse is so dangerous, why Americans consider drug management in old age a matter of survival, and how to protect your longevity without becoming dependent on pills, leave a comment with the number 1 below to watch the full video. What comes next may help you preserve not only your health, but also your right to remain in control of your own life. Medication abuse does not begin with a major mistake. It begins with habits that feel familiar and reasonable. When Americans analyze this issue, they often start from a very ordinary truth. Medication abuse among older adults almost never begins with extreme behavior. It doesn't start with someone intentionally overdosing. It begins with small, seemingly logical decisions that feel harmless at the time. One day the pain feels worse than usual, so half a pill more is taken. One night, sleep takes longer to come, so the medication is taken earlier than normal. A friend says a certain drug is mild, safe, or fine to use long-term, and it quietly finds its way into the family medicine cabinet. In the United States, doctors describe this as a silent slide. Each individual choice appears reasonable on its own. But when these choices repeat over time, medication stops being used according to medical guidance and starts being used according to personal feeling. And feelings, especially in old age, are surprisingly unreliable. An aging body reacts more slowly, sends weaker signals, and tolerates strain longer before issuing serious warnings. That is why many older adults fail to recognize that persistent fatigue, brief spells of dizziness, or mild morning confusion may not be just aging, but the result of medications accumulating and interacting improperly inside the body. Americans emphasize this point clearly. Aging itself does not weaken a person overnight, but medication used incorrectly can do so far more quickly. Another deeply concerning habit is the continued use of old prescriptions. Many older adults keep taking medications that were prescribed years ago, even though their bodies have changed significantly. Weight has shifted, liver and kidney function has declined. New chronic conditions have appeared, yet the dosage remains the same, as if time had stood still. From the American perspective, this is not being cautious. It is surrendering the body to inertia. Medication abuse is also fueled by fear. Fear that the pain will return. Fear of sleepless nights. Fear that stopping a drug will make the illness worse. That fear makes it easier to take another pill than to ask a question. And once questions stop being asked, control over one's health slowly slips away. Americans do not deny the value of medication, but they issue a very clear warning. When medication becomes a reflex instead of a thoughtful decision, risk begins to outweigh benefit. Life expectancy is not shortened in a single day. It is shortened by a long chain of days in which people believe they are doing the right thing, while in reality, the body has been silently pushed beyond its limits. When medication soothes symptoms, but quietly erodes the body from within, Americans look directly at a paradox that many older adults tend to overlook. Medication can make a person feel better, but that does not necessarily mean the body is becoming healthier. In reality, many medications are designed only to mute outward symptoms, while deep inside, vital organs are forced to shoulder an ever-growing burden. A painkiller may calm aching joints, but the liver and kidneys must work harder to process and eliminate it. A sleeping pill may bring rest quickly, yet over time it weakens the brain's natural ability to regulate the sleep-wake cycle on its own. A stomach medication may ease discomfort after meals, but it can quietly interfere with long-term nutrient absorption. The feeling of relief often arrives early. Real damage arrives slowly. And it is precisely that delay that makes people complacent. In the United States, geriatric specialists often stress a hard truth. The aging body does not forget a drug's side effects. It simply endures them in silence. As long as biological reserves remain, the body compensates. But once that limit is crossed, decline comes fast and hits hard. When that moment arrives, people are often shocked, unable to understand why their health deteriorated so suddenly, even though they took their medication regularly. Americans also warn about a particularly dangerous cycle: medication causing side effects, followed by more medication to treat those side effects. Pain leads to sleep problems, so a sleeping pill is added. Nausea caused by one drug leads to an anti-nausea drug. Dizziness leads to a mild sedative. The medicine cabinet grows fuller while the body grows more exhausted. And with every additional drug, the risk of interactions and serious complications multiplies not gradually, but exponentially. Most concerning of all is when older adults begin to equate the absence of symptoms with good health. When the pain fades and discomfort disappears, they assume everything is fine. But from the American perspective, health is not the temporary silence of the body. Health is the ability to function steadily, safely, and sustainably over time. Medication used incorrectly may bring short-term reassurance, but it does so by trading away long-term strength. Life expectancy is not shortened in a single day. It is worn down little by each pill, each habit, each time the body's warning signals are muted instead of understood. And when those signals are suppressed for too long, the body is left with no choice but to collapse, even as the person believed they were taking good care of their health all along. Drug interactions. The life-shortening threat many older adults don't even know by name. When Americans talk about medication misuse, they don't stop at individual pills. They warn about something far more dangerous, far more silent, and far more overlooked: drug interactions. This is precisely why many older adults develop sudden health decline without any new disease, after nothing more than taking their medications as usual. In later life, very few people take just one medication. Blood pressure drugs, heart medications, diabetes pills, joint and bone treatments, sleeping aids, stomach medicine. Each one taken alone may seem reasonable, but placed side by side, these drugs can cancel each other out, amplify effects, or distort how the body responds, often in ways no one anticipates. And without close medical supervision, the person taking them has no idea what is unfolding inside their body. Americans refer to drug interactions as the silent killer in the home medicine cabinet, not because they cause immediate severe pain, but because they begin subtly. Mild dizziness, brief loss of balance, vague confusion, unexplained fatigue. These small symptoms are, in fact, the leading causes of falls, injuries, hospitalizations, and rapid functional decline among older adults. And with every fall, every hospital stay, every slow recovery and a weakened body, life expectancy quietly takes another step downward. In the United States, medical statistics repeatedly show that many emergency admissions among older adults do not stem from new, serious illnesses. They come from uncontrolled combinations of medications. What makes this especially alarming is that most of these cases are entirely preventable. One careful medication review, one timely question asked of a doctor, one decision not to add, remove, or change dosages based on guesswork. Yet reality often looks different. Many older adults assume prescriptions from doctors should simply be taken, medications recommended by friends are worth trying, and drugs that once worked well should be kept indefinitely. No one takes full responsibility for the total number of substances entering the body each day, and when no one is accountable, the body itself pays the price. Americans state this bluntly: old age does not allow for casual medication use. The body no longer has the strength to tolerate mistakes the way it once did. A small error today can become a major complication tomorrow. A missed drug interaction today can be the reason life expectancy drops sharply within just a few years. If you're listening and realize that you or someone you love is taking multiple medications daily without ever reviewing them together, leave a comment with the number 1 to continue watching the full video. The next sections will explain how Americans manage medications to protect longevity. And if you believe it's time to take a serious, honest look at your own medicine cabinet, leave a comment with the number 0. That single step could be the beginning of preserving the healthy years still ahead. Medication dependence. When life expectancy isn't just shortened, but quality of life is taken away. Americans view medication misuse in older adults not only through a medical lens, but through the lens of dignity and personal autonomy. Because once a person becomes dependent on medication, the damage does not stop at the liver, kidneys, or cardiovascular system. It spreads into the mind, emotions, and the way a person sees themselves. At first, medication helps control pain, makes sleep easier, reduces anxiety, but over time, many older adults stop asking, "Do I still need this medication?" and start asking, "What will happen if I don't take it?" Fear takes hold, fear that pain will return, fear of sleepless nights, fear of losing control over the body. And that fear tightens the grip of medication, turning it from a supportive tool into the only psychological anchor. Americans describe this as a quiet loss of self-governance. When dependency grows, older adults begin to lose faith in their body's natural ability to adapt. They move less because they fear pain. They restrict their diet excessively because they fear symptoms coming back. They avoid change because any adjustment might require altering medication. Life gradually shrinks, while the medicine cabinet keeps expanding. What is especially tragic is that this dependency is often disguised under the word safety. Taking medication on schedule, never missing a dose, never forgetting the time. On the surface, this looks like compliance. But inside, the body becomes increasingly passive. Natural regulatory systems are neglected. Muscles weaken, balance deteriorates, reflexes slow. And when a body is no longer used as it was meant to be, life expectancy doesn't just shorten in years, it becomes poorer in quality. Americans stress this point clearly. Living longer while trapped in fear, dependency, and chronic fatigue is not the goal of healthcare. Old age should not be a phase where life revolves around pill schedules. It should be a stage defined by awareness, intention, and clarity in everyday choices. Medication dependence also causes older adults to overlook more fundamental solutions. Lifestyle adjustments, gentle movement, appropriate nutrition, and sleep aligned with natural rhythms. When medication becomes the first and only solution, every other path quietly closes. And in that moment, the body gradually loses its capacity for self-recovery, the most valuable asset in later life. From the American perspective, preserving independence in thought and decision-making is preserving the most essential part of longevity. When medication is placed in its proper role, not at the center of life, older adults gain the chance to live healthier, clearer, and more complete lives in the years that remain. Why Americans consider regular medication reviews a matter of survival in old age. Within the U.S. healthcare system, there is one message repeatedly emphasized to older adults. Medication is not something you take once and keep unchanged for life. The body evolves year by year, stage by stage. And because the body changes, medication must be reevaluated continuously. Americans don't ask seniors, "How many medications are you taking?" They ask a far more important question. Is there any medication you no longer need? Geriatric physicians in the United States understand this clearly. In old age, the greatest risk is not too little medication, but too much. A drug that was appropriate several years ago can become a heavy burden on the liver, kidneys, and brain today. Yet without the habit of regular review, many older adults continue taking it simply because I've been on it for years, so it must be safe. That assumption is exactly how an old prescription turns into a new danger. Americans view periodic medication review the same way they view safety checks for any critical system. Cars need maintenance, homes need inspection, and the aging body, with its reduced tolerance and slower recovery, needs even closer monitoring than ever before. During each review, doctors reassess seen dosage, drug choice, interactions, and whether a medication can be reduced or stopped altogether. In many cases, removing just one unnecessary drug leads to a noticeable improvement in overall health. In the United States, many older adults are surprised to find that after cutting back on medications, they feel more alert, experience less dizziness, walk more steadily, and sleep more naturally. This doesn't happen because they were missing medication, but because the body was finally relieved of an unnecessary load. In this sense, longevity isn't extended by adding more. It's preserved by knowing when to take something away. Another crucial element is collaboration. Americans encourage older adults to actively engage with their doctors, bringing a complete list of everything they take, including over-the-counter drugs, supplements, and medications taken just to be safe. No medication is too small to matter when it comes to longevity. Every pill leaves a mark on the body, whether the person feels it or not. From the American perspective, reviewing medication is not about distrusting medicine. It is about using medicine intelligently. When drugs are placed in the right role, at the right dose, and at the right time, they truly protect life. Otherwise, they quietly take away years that could have been lived healthier, clearer, and with far greater independence. Healthcare isn't measured by how many pills you take, but by how wisely you use them. Americans deliver a message that is blunt and, for many, deeply unsettling. Taking more medication does not mean better healthcare. In fact, in later life, the more medications a person takes, the higher the risk, especially when knowledge and supervision are lacking. Health is not determined by whether a medicine cabinet is full or empty, but by whether each pill is truly necessary. From the American perspective, proper care rests on three clear principles: the right drug, the right dose, at the right time. The right drug means it must still fit the person's current condition, not the condition of years ago. The right dose means no self-adjusting upward or downward based on feelings alone. And the right time means taking medication because it is needed, not out of habit, convenience, or fear. Americans place special emphasis on awareness. Older adults are encouraged to know the names of the medications they take, understand the purpose of each one, and recognize warning signs that should be reported to a doctor. When people understand what they put into their bodies, medication stops being something mysterious or intimidating and becomes a tool under control. But when pills are swallowed unconsciously, they can easily slip beyond control and cause long-term harm. Another critical warning is not to rely on word of mouth. In the United States, doctors frequently caution that a medication that works for one person may be completely wrong for another, especially in old age.